let's see, where should I start here? What kind of music exactly are you interested in doing all the time? Like what would you just say your style would be?
Well, I feel like in the past I've done more like singer-songwriter, acoustic, sort of pop folk kind of a stuff, but now I am leaning more into still keeping that singer-songwriter element, but bringing in more of an alternative like pop, some elements of electric and R&B. So I still feel like I'm a folk, sort of pop folk artist,
Mm-hmm.
but in my production for the new album, we're gonna have some R&B, a little bit of like some urban flair to it. So it's sort of going a little bit more into the pop realm.
Okay. What then has inspired this music type? Is that the type of music you listen to, or
It is, yes.
It is?
That is that is the kind of music I'm currently just loving. So I feel that it's kind of coming pretty naturally. It's nice to feel like I'm expanding my sound and developing my sound a bit more. Because in previous albums, it's been more of that, like I said, the acoustic with a little bit of maybe a beat or some harmonies layered in, but it's never been like a full album produced with that sound. So.
All right. Who are your favorite, I guess, bands, acts, etc.?
The artists that I am currently listening to, you mean?
Yeah, that works.
I'm currently really loving Disclosure and Sam Smith. Both of them are ruling. I love Haley Williams and the work she does with Paramore, and have been a fan of Keegan and Santa. Still loving, so completely loving Ani DeFranco and Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a huge fan of Eminem too. But I'd say that Disclosure and Sam Smith, that stylistically right now, that their style is really inspiring me.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, and then back to your music. What inspires like the music that you write, the lyrics and stuff? Is it just real life situations or imaginary things?
It varies. It varies from song to song, but it's always either something that I myself am going through and experiencing, or it's something that I have experienced, or it's something that I'm observing or witnessing somebody else go through.
Okay.
So it's always it's not a personal element to it always. Sometimes it's based on my life, and sometimes it's not.
Okay. What do you think about you and your music type really stands out from the rest of the crowd?
What do I think? How it stands out, or why it stands out?
Yeah, just you or your music, whichever one. Is there
Uh-huh.
anything really unique you think that makes you stand out?
Well, I'd say that especially in my upcoming songs, or like Chasing Madness, which I just released, in my upcoming songs that will be coming out very soon, that I use, and even in the songs I've released in the past too, like I like to mix vulnerability with humor.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like combining those two elements, humor and vulnerability, is what makes me different, along with the actual sound of my voice and the way that I write my songs and stuff like that. But I think that it's especially interesting to hear or to feel like when someone can address a subject with a great sense of vulnerability and realness, but then also have a sense of humor about it and prove a point, using wit to do so.
Okay. So what was it like contending, I guess, on whatchamacallit, America's Got Talent?
Mm-hmm. Well, being on America's Got Talent, and then the next year doing the Glee project on Oxygen, both were great experiences because they led me to the fan base that I have, and they led people and are continuing in other parts of the world to lead people to come find me online and to buy my music and to engage with me, and that's great. But it was also quite nerve-wracking at times, just not even necessarily right at first. It was more like once I was more deeply involved in the competition, it became like my head started to just become filled with thoughts and, trying to stay true to myself, but then feeling like this expectation from the producers to sort of fit within their ideas. And so it was nerve-wracking, but it was also a great challenge for me to stay true to myself and keep doing what I felt was right.
Okay. Let's see. Would you... I feel like I always ask the same questions on every interview, and I get bored with it, and I'm like, these people have gotten asked the same exact thing every time. I want to come up with something cool. Well, I guess I'll just keep going with what I normally ask. Is there anything coming up for you right now that you're releasing new, or are you recording?
Yeah, I have some more acoustic tracks that are going to be coming out in the next few months, like Girl or Boy, which is a song that I put out in 2012 on YouTube, and has received a lot of positive feedback from people who can relate to what I'm saying in that song. So that song is finally going to come out where people can buy it online, and then I'll have another track the following month, and then I'll have a full acoustic EP, which is all really building up to the Pledge Music campaign we're going to be doing, where I'll be raising money for the full album. So in October, you can keep an eye out for the EP and the Pledge Music campaign. And I'm already working on the new album, but we need funds to be able to produce the entire thing because the producer can't live off of nothing. So So we're just, but we're still definitely like already working on the album and planning it out. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited to keep going on that. In fact, in October, I will be in New York for a couple of weeks, and I'll be there recording and doing some shows and things like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. And okay, so off of what you just said, what is your favorite part about recording, and like what is like the most tedious thing about it?
Well, the favorite part of recording would be getting to create the song the way I hear it in my head and the way I feel it in my body and in my heart. Like getting to actually hear that, like on really good headphones or on speakers, and just feel it. It fits in that sweet spot. I will listen to it on repeat like for an entire day. Like right there, I love it. There's this thing about like hearing this song that I wrote and that came from my heart and has so much truth to it, but then hearing it like produced and on a good microphone, it's just like so satisfying. But the most tedious part, I'd say, harmonies are pretty tedious. Going through and layering the harmonies in each part of the song. There's different harmonies, and there's like you stack them up, and you redo, you can do several takes per harmony per part of the song. So you can end up just doing harmonies for hours. And then, but the same thing goes for Like when I play guitar, if I get one string that buzzes or something like that, then, kind of have to do another take to make sure that you can piece it all together to make it the complete song, So that can be very tedious, but in the end, it's definitely very rewarding to hear it like that.
Mm-hmm. That's always been my biggest question about recording music. I feel like you guys have to do it over and over and over again, and I'd be like, all right, we did it twice, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. There's a certain enjoyment that comes with it because each time you can bring in a different flair or a different feeling or emotion or whatever you want to bring into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I'm working with my producer that I've been working with, his name is Rob. Rob will be like, okay, this time, really just put some swag on it, and then I'll do it again with a little more tag, or sometimes it's a little more intimate and soft, and just get the flavor with the different things that your voice can do. So that's fun.
That's cool. All right. So if you could do a duet with anybody, who would you want to do it with?
That's so tough. That's so tough. It used to be, I would say, I would love to do, a collaboration with Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
The songs that he's done with Rihanna, only, I would love to, rap a verse and then rap the rest. But that would be freaking amazing. But also, like I said, I'm really digging Sam Smith right now, so I think that could be really cool. And Disclosure. I mean, I don't know. There are so many great people out there.
Yeah.
Oh, Pink is another great inspiration for me. I've always loved her. So, that's a really difficult.
It's kind of there's so many options. What do you mean I can pick one?
Literally, there are so many that I would be elated to work with. So.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. So, are there any whatchamacallit? Are there any weird habits that you have getting into cool, different things to talk about?
Weird. I mean, I'm sure.
Any warm-ups you do before shows or before recording, or traditions you have?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have some really funny warm-ups that I do. Warm up my voice. I won't do them on the phone as your ears might.
No, it's okay.
But definitely there's some very funny and odd sounding vocal warm-ups that I do. In my backyard we have this, it's what used to be a child's playhouse. It's a little kid's playhouse, but it's wood and it's built basically to look like a miniature version of the main house. And so it's painted the same colors, got the same trim and everything. And I would like to go in there. I love to go in. I love to go sit in that little house, and sometimes I'll be in there for hours, just doing work or writing. I love to play music in there, and so that's, I guess it's a little strange. I've always had this weird, ever since I was a kid, I love small private spaces. When I was a little kid, I liked to crawl into the cupboard underneath, or where you put the pots and pans. I would take all the pots and pans out, and I would crawl in there and just sit. So strange. And I always had this dream that I would have. We built this. My stepdad had a shed in the backyard when I was a kid, and the shed was for fishing poles and the lawnmower and stuff like that. But when we were building it, I always dreamed that it would be my special little house. And so it's kind of strange that now, as an adult, I have that house. I have that little house in the back, and I can just go in there. So I think it's kind of a weird full circle.
Bringing it all back.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, so anything else you would us to tell, I guess, your fans, your followers that can visit our site when I write this article? Anything at all you want them to know? Anything going on?
Well, I think that people don't. Another weird thing about me is that, and I actually want to write a blog about this, so if your eyes open for that. But um, I a weird thing about me is that I actually have um, sometimes I have social anxiety, and sometimes I have social media anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I just social media just I feel like there are some people out there that are just so good at it and so good at just keeping engaged, and their posts are so just naturally them and everything else. But my mind comes in and I overthink things sometimes, and overcomplicate the act of posting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a weird and interesting thing about me, is that I put more thought into those things than most people, I think.
Twitter is only 140 characters. Don't overthink it. Just go for it.
Right. I rearrange the words. I edit. I'll delete a post if I go back. I'm like, wait a minute, that post does not feel like me. Forget it. I'm deleting it.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it doesn't sound like you have a social anxiety. You got no problem talking to me, so that's good.
Yeah, for some reason, phone conversations are not as bad. You're pretty easy to talk to, and you're good at interviewing. You should feel good.
Oh, good. I'd like to hear that. Alrighty. Well, it was great talking to you. I will write